Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's time for the Brown Sports Bag. From the heart of the Barrens, a weekly local sports machine. Alongside John Butler, here's your host, James Brown.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag. Monday here, 4 o'clock. Every Monday, unless we decide to take a little vacation every once in a while. On WCLU Radio, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. It's James Brown, John Butler. And, John, we got a lot of playoff basketball to talk about. And we're actually going to start with the girls since they went ahead and got their regional tournament started yesterday down at Diddle Arena. And the Barren County Trojanettes, I mean, they took care of business. They came out on fire against Logan County. They were up 14-2, and then Coach Adler took a timeout. And they came out of that, and they outscored them. It was a 6-6 game from there. But, I mean, the tone was set. And the Trojanettes were not affected by Diddle Arena whatsoever because a lot of times in those first games, you know, if you have a team that shoots threes, they struggle a little bit. But they were on fire right out of the gate, John.
Okay, so I was anticipating Okay, so Logan County game, you're exactly right. That game was over quick.
Yeah.
71-44. Multiple. I mean, that's how people, you know, who hadn't seen them play a lot go, man, they shot it really well. And I go, they normally do. Right. I mean, what you saw is kind of what they do. They shoot it really, really, really well. And not surprising to blow out Logan County. I did not think it would be close. Just Barren has way too many players, shooters, to be honest with you. They had 4 in double figures with Bird, Harris. I mean, she's playing really well, the freshman. Yeah. And Ashley Atkinson, whose game has really improved in the last probably month or so. Mm-hmm. Double figures again. And probably the unsung hero has been McFall. Yeah. I mean, McFall was huge in the district. Yeah. And, again, came out firing. I think she was like player of the game or whatever, too. So, you know, all 4 of those were in double figures. And, I mean, to have that type of balance, and that's without Burton or Slagle in double figures, you know, which is normally you get those. So, you know, Barren just, again, their firepower. If you can't score, you have no chance of beating Barren because right. Even if a couple of them are off, they've got so many other shooters. And if you don't have a lot of size and length, because size and length could, you know, makes teams a lot different defensively. Yeah. And it's harder to shoot over and so forth. So, you know, if you don't have a ton of size and length, then who does? Yeah, not many. Who does around here?
The one team that does, they will not be playing.
Yeah, Bowling Green, but they can't score.
That's right.
So, you know, if you don't have a lot of size and length, then you're going to have a hard time slowing down Barren. And that was the perfect first-round game. Mm-hmm. Perfect in the region. Yeah, because you know you get used to the rims, and I know Barron's there every year, 9 out of the last 10 years, but not every player that was out there shooting had played, you know, there or got a lot of time. You know, McFall played some, but she's got more minutes now. Harris is, you know, that's her first experience. Yeah. So, and you only play there, you know, one time a year. You may get 3 games there. Yeah. So that was a perfect first round game for Barren.
Well, and as you mentioned, I mean, you mentioned Burton and Slagle. I mean, Slagle's actually struggled a little bit offensively in the postseason. Burton was coming back from, I guess she'd been a little sick and had like a little knee sprain or whatever. So in the district, she probably wasn't 100% yet. But in the process, you know, Addison McFall has really caught fire. And, I mean, she did a lot for Barren in the district tournament, and obviously she was hot last night. And Ashley Atkinson, I mean, we know her for her defense. She's often asked to guard, you know, another team's better player and that kind of thing and rebound and do all that. But she's been making shots lately too. Sure. Mm-hmm. And so you've got 2 players that are your second and third scorers on the team statistically throughout the season who aren't up there in these playoffs, and you got 2 more that have just stepped in, and then you got Layla Harris, who's just been coming off the bench lately and handling the ball and hitting big shots. I mean, I think she hit 3 threes in that game. So, you know, it's they have a wealth of talent. And then you don't even mention the fact that you have Hannah Bragg, who got in foul trouble in that game, and Riley Wilson, who starts inside players. They're not asked to do much offensively, but they are asked to defend and rebound. And so they've got the perfect mixture of everything. And a lot of times in that first regional tournament game, that's where you see them struggle a little bit, but they just didn't struggle at all.
Lowe was never really a threat.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was a pretty good first round performance in a first round game, and they drew well too.
Yeah.
Drew away from Franklin and Cumberland County.
Yeah.
That's probably their biggest threats. I think a lot of people would think. Now they got to go through Monroe. Don't get me wrong; it's not a gift, but
yeah.
I think most people would say the two biggest threats going into the tournament would be Franklin and Cumberland, and may only have to be one of them.
Yeah, well, and speaking of why they don't have to worry about Bowling Green on Friday night, it's because Monroe. I'd say most people would say they upset them. I really didn't think it was an upset. I thought it was a dead even game coming
50-50. I mean, Bowling Green's played much better at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But they still just don't score.
No.
They just can't score. I mean, they got size, they're well coached, and Monroe does. Monroe's had a good year this year. They've got a lot of juniors and seniors, they lost by 1 to Cumberland in the finals of the district, and they were a team that could definitely beat Bowling Green.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, definitely, and that game went back and forth and so forth. Bowling Green had like an 8-point lead at one time, and give Monroe credit. That's a good win for Monroe, and that puts them in the semifinals against Barren, a team that they're very familiar with.
Right.
You play twice a year, but I think they only played them once this year.
Yeah.
But still, Barren would be a big favorite.
Yeah, Sarah Thompson had a big game for them, and especially in the fourth quarter. The interesting thing was. That game kind of disproved my general theory that if you have the ability to put more players on the floor, that you're generally going to wear the opponent down, because Bowling Green did that. Monroe only plays 6, and I think Monroe was 5 of 6 from the field in the fourth quarter, and I think Bowling Green was 2 of 10 or something like that in the fourth quarter. And then, of course, Monroe got to the foul line and hit their foul shots. I mean, it was a perfect game for them, the way they finished off that game. And like you said, Barren and Monroe played once this year. I think Barren ended up beating them by about 20 over there at Monroe, which is always a hard place to win anyway.
Right.
So it is a favorable matchup again for the Trojanettes. And then, as you mentioned, the other games, I mean, we've got Franklin Simpson and Greenwood at 6:30. Franklin Simpson, heavy favorite to win that game. And then we have a first-round game that I think is going to be a barn burner between Cumberland County and Allen County Scottsville tonight.
I agree. It's two completely different styles.
Yeah.
Cumberland County has 4 players in double figures.
Mm-hmm.
They only play like 6 juniors, seniors, and just spread the wealth from 14 points a game to about 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And of course, Allen County has Avery Morris, one of the best players in the region, one of the top players I'd say probably in the state.
Yeah.
And has the inside player I've gone blank.
Deborah Patrick.
Those are their 2 big guns.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It should be a good game. If it's high scoring, I like Allen. The lower the points, probably Cumberland County, and Cumberland County did beat them early in the year with about 18.
Yeah. Speaking of Avery Morris, she had a heck of a game in that district championship against Barren County. I think she finished with 39 points in that game. She caught fire. Barren looked like they had control of the game. They were up by 21, and then it became the Avery Morris show from there on, and they basically had to hold on at the end to get that win, John.
That was the finals.
Yeah,
and that was I was extremely impressed with Morris. So that game really, really solidified with me how that she's really taking a big step.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a close. Barren 63-58. And Barren was up, as you mentioned, 21 in the third. And Allen got it within 2.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it, I mean, Barren didn't play bad. Barren was 9 of 19 from threes.
Yeah.
That's pretty daggone good shooting. And, again, you had 4 in double figures, Bird, Burton, Atkinson, and McFall. And McFall had 9 points, 3 out of 3. Had 3 threes. Layla Harris had 2 from 3. So Barren shot it good. But it was the play mainly, and to be honest with you, of Morris. She had 39 points. 6 of 13 from threes. Now, she took 31 shots. She was 14 of 31. Nobody else had more than 6.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant kind of scoring.
But to get 39 against Barren, who's really good defensively. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about Shelby Bird and Atkinson, and they can throw a lot of players at you. And to me, what was impressive was their threes. They weren't just wide open threes.
No.
They were some step back threes here and there, and just to basically to will their team back was impressive. And I think it helped both teams. I mean, I think Barren needed to play one of those tight ones where they really felt the pressure. When you lose that lead, the stress and pressure really gets to you a little bit, and Barren came back in the last 4 minutes, and I thought made their free throws, made some plays, made some big threes during that stretch too. It's not like Allen just choked it away. Barren held on and then moved it out to 5, and I think it probably helps Allen. Allen, probably convinces them that they can beat Barren. The problem with Allen is because they lost, they got a tough draw here. They've got to go through Cumberland, probably Franklin, just to get to Barren. They got to go through arguably the top 3 teams in the region, 3 of the top 4. Allen may be the second best team in the region.
Yeah,
to be quite honest with you. So they've got a real tough way to get there. But that was a really good game.
Of course, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but the first round game of the district between Barren and Glasgow. Glasgow played well in the first half, made shots.
They were ahead
in the first quarter. 13-9.
They were ahead. Give Glasgow credit. They were ahead after the first quarter.
Yeah.
Which was, I don't think a lot of people saw that coming.
Right.
Give them credit. Coach Kirkpatrick had them ready to play and so forth, but Barron's just too much. Got too much shooting, too much size over Glasgow, and ended up winning by 30, 62-32. But, I think it was Slagle who hit a 3 at the end of the first quarter just to make it like 15-9 or something like it, or something like that.
Yeah, it was 13-6. She hit a 3 like with 2 seconds to go or something like
right.
that. Yeah.
And then again, Barren, same old, four in double figures again. I thought Glasgow had a better year. That means they ended up winning 8 this year, 8-22, and Kayla Kirkpatrick had a good game in that. She had 19, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think overall, Glasgow was 4 of 16. We talked here last week. Glasgow's going to have one of those great shooting nights. It's hard to do that against Barren.
Right.
But I did think the team improved, and they got pretty much every player back that played. They got, you got a shot if players improve and and things like that. I don't know, maybe got some young players come in or whatever, then they got a chance to have even a better year next year with a lot of young players.
I think the interesting thing about their team is they only won 8 games, but I thought they had a stretch in the January, as you do sometimes, where they weren't playing very well, and they played a bunch of teams that they could have beaten.
That's right.
And if they had played the way they did down the stretch,
like Hart.
Yeah, during that stretch, they'd have won those games. I think they had potentially at least 6 more wins possible for them, and maybe they take. They can watch the film. They can look at how they played during certain stretches, and it's like, okay, we're real close.
Right.
We just got to figure out how to play consistently like this from start to finish.
I agree.
And I think they have some players who can do it. We've seen flashes of them throughout the season, from Kirkpatrick and Jakayla Green, Reese England. Yeah. Just different ones. I think Lightfoot fits in that category. Jayla Crane, who's an 8th grader, also. I think she's heck of a defensive player. She caused Barren some real problems in that first quarter, but they just got to maybe they next year they can take all that and turn get back, climb that mountain a little bit more. Anything else on the girls basketball district region that stands out to you?
No, the congratulations to Barren. It's the final game. I think people got their money.
Yeah.
The good crowd. That's kind of old school Barren Allen right there.
Yeah.
With Coach DeWitt over there, willing his team back and so forth. That's a little old school right there. The region, tonight got 2. I think Greenwood and Franklin. I definitely think Franklin's going to win. We'll see if Greenwood can put up a little bit of a fight. They're pretty young, got some scores and so forth. I really, this Allen Cumberland County game should be really, really good. I think, in one sense, Allen and Barren in the finals of the region would be pretty neat again.
Yeah.
I think they may be a real danger. to Barren. But man, did they get if they get to the finals, they'll have to earn it.
Yeah.
They got a really difficult draw.
Yeah, they do. All right, this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Welcome home to Local Sports with James Brown and the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. James Brown, John Butler. We talked about the girls in the first segment. We're going to talk about the boys in the second segment. And this time we are going to start off with the district championship game, that being the 15th district championship game, because it was nice. We had Glasgow and Barren County playing in the championship. The gym was packed to the rafters. I mean, I don't think you could have fit anybody else in there. I don't think the fire chief even stopped by.
Were there people in the rafters?
They should have been.
Okay.
They should have stuck them in the rafters, made a little more room. They needed some seats up there.
Hanging from the ceiling.
There you go. Hey, this was like the good old days when you had those little, shoebox gyms or whatever. People like peeking in the windows to watch the games, right, John?
That's right.
That's probably what Greene County was like when you were there, wasn't it?
Our gym was a little bit bigger than that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, anyway, it was a heck of a game. It went to double overtime. The Scotties managed to win in double overtime.
75-67.
And honestly, for most of that game, I just figured Barren was going to win it. And I feel like that's what Warren thought, too. And then things just kind of took a weird turn in the fourth quarter because Glasgow's number one offensive player, Jalen Bradley, could not make a shot, basically, until the fourth quarter.
Well, Barren led most of the game.
Yeah.
They did. And, listen, the game was called a hard game to call, but I thought the three officials did a pretty good job. And you can argue calls going either way. I don't think it determined the game in any way. I thought they did a pretty good job.
Now, I do. With that said, I was suspect of the call with 2.4 seconds left. That was a charge call against Jarek Martin. And I think at first everybody thought it was a foul call on Jackson Bird because there was contact, in the lane or whatever. And Jarek ended up fouling out on that. I thought it was an odd – I don't know whether or not the call was right. Let me put it that way. But I will say this. I've seen a lot of plays like that through the years in that moment, and they don't make a call whatsoever unless it's just egregious.
Okay. So for that, that was a huge call for Barren.
Yes, it was.
Because he made the shot.
Yeah.
So you may not even have overtime. I think on the other side, they would also argue with 4 minutes to go, Glasgow got a 5-point play, made a three,
yes.
And got a foul on a rebound on a hold, and then went up and made both free throws. So that's what I'm saying. And these things kind of even.
That actually tied the game.
That's right. Yeah. Glasgow was down 5. So these things kind of go back and forth. And that's why I don't think it determined the game.
Yeah.
Because Glasgow ended up winning the game, even though they didn't get the call at the end on that.
Right.
And speaking of, give Jackson Bird credit. I thought that was the best game I've ever seen Jackson play. To be honest with you.
Did.
He took a couple charges from Jarek, which is really hard to do. Mm-hmm. And plus he had, I think, 14 points, 9 rebounds. But really, I thought the difference in the game was the turnovers that Barren made. That Glasgow extended their defense. A lot of it was that kind of a diamond press, but more of it was a 1-2-2 3/4. And Barren struggled with it. Some of it was caused directly by Glasgow, and some of it I would argue is kind of careless a little bit, some careless passes and so forth. And that has been one of Barron's issues all year at times. They've turned the ball over, and some of those turned into live ball turnovers. Mm-hmm. And every time it looked like Barren was in control of the game, or we may have an opportunity to extend it, turnover here, turnover there, and so forth. And give Glasgow a lot of credit because they got nothing out of their first round game against Warren East.
No.
They won 40, and that was a yawner on Tuesday. They really got nothing out of that game other than they got to go to the finals. And Barren had a dogfight against Allen on Wednesday, and I really thought that probably helped Barren. It took Glasgow maybe a while to get caught back up to speed. That the intensity of the game. The intensity of the game, because there was none in their first round game.
Right.
And Barren just kind of fed off the Allen County game, and they were ready to go from the get go. But the game went. When a game goes in double overtime, there are either team can win games. Glasgow had an opportunity to win the game in the regulation. They got the charge call. Mm-hmm. Barren had a shot to win it at the end of the first overtime.
Yep.
And didn't really get a shot off, to be honest with you. I think Kate Hardy took the basket and the ball went out of bounds. I don't know if it slapped off his knee or he just lost or whatever. I couldn't tell by my angle. But he had had the ball with a chance to win it.
Yep.
So both teams had a chance to win it each time and so forth. But in overtime, Glasgow they scored early, and they were really able to spread it out. And once they took the lead and spread it out, Barren had to come out and get them, and that's when Jalen really, really went to work. Drove by in the lane, and I don't know how many. I think Jalen ended up having, what did he have? He had 25. He took a lot of shots. He was 8 out of 25.
Yeah.
But in the overtime, especially the second overtime, he probably had 3 or 4 assists. He'd get into the lane.
Yeah.
Barren would rotate to help, and he would just kick it to an open person. I thought he struggled early but played well late. Jackson Norris was fantastic for Glasgow. He had 15 points, 3 out of 5 from 3, and he hit some big threes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's when you make threes.
Yeah.
And he made some big threes for Glasgow. I thought
probably his best game of the season.
That's the best I've ever seen. So he played well, for Glasgow, for Barren, and Hardy had 21, and Shelton 17, and I thought Bird 14 and 9. I thought those, Kate Hardy I thought he was exhausted, to be honest with you. And it's not because he played a double overtime and handled the ball, in my opinion. He didn't come out against Allen either on Wednesday. It was he guarded Bradley. And in the first game against Allen 2 days earlier, he guarded Pettigo. And that takes a lot. When you're having to do both, that you're asking a lot. And and that's just the personnel that Barren has right now. And, they just sometimes they have to do that. Give Glasgow a lot of credit. They've played Barren 3 times. They've been close to them, and we're in overtime. This is double overtime. I know it stinks if you're a Barren fan. I mean, it's tough, when you lose twice in overtime in the district final. But give Glasgow credit. They won 6 games last year, and this year they've got it 18 and 12.
Yeah. And the other interesting thing about that game was Landon Minton didn't play a whole lot. He's the number 3 scorer for Glasgow because he was sick. And Barren was able to take advantage of that in certain ways. But basically, Jackson Bird was able to probably be more effective inside, rebounding and that kind of thing. Carson Browning. But then on the flip side, the guys who came in, Grayson Bartley, Carter Hodges, who also came in and spelled those minutes for him, I thought, filled that role really well, especially Grayson Bartley. I thought he had an outstanding game. If you look at the stat book,
Hodges played well.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, their bench played well.
Yeah.
Glasgow's bench played well. I think Hodges got a dunk there off a little kick from Bradley in one of the overtimes.
And I think really maybe that's what the baseline difference was in the game. There's a lot of things and a factor, but the guys who came in for Glasgow probably performed above what their season average would tell you they would. And that's kind of what you need in those kind of games. You got to have some unsung heroes sometimes.
Yeah, I mean that's true. But like I said, when games go into double overtime, there's no one single play.
No.
Obviously, either team could win these games and so forth. But it's great if you win, you get to cut down nets and you get T-shirts, and sometimes you get good draws like Glasgow got.
Yeah,
and then you get bad draws if you're Barren, and those are sometimes the consequences of these district finals. I will say, in Barren's first round game against Allen, in which both teams have split, as a big win for Barren, 56-50. I don't want to toss that away.
Right.
Shelton, the sophomore, was fantastic. He had 18 points and 10 rebounds, hit a double-double. But so did Nunn. Nunn had 15-11.
Yeah.
But I thought, coaching-wise, that was one of Warren's better performances I've ever seen him. He went boxing chaser.
Yeah, that's
and
what
he never goes boxing chaser.
Yeah.
He went boxing chaser on Pettigo in the second half. And I think it that was probably ultimately one of the key decisions that was made, because Allen really struggled. Only put up 50, a team that normally scores in the high 60s or 70s. And
I think they only had 14 points after they made the defensive change.
Yeah, it was a great decision right there because that's just something Warren doesn't do a lot. He's told me they've been working on it about 3 weeks in practice, never showed it in the game, and waited to the second half and did a nice job.
Yeah, they took a timeout. I think Allen had a little run going in the third quarter. They took a timeout, and they came out in that. And I think because they had 36. I think they were up 36-30 or something like that at that point, and they had 14 points the rest of the way. And basically, maybe Pettigo maybe scored twice during that. And the funny thing about like that box and one kind of situation is there were people who got open for Allen, but there were people who Allen didn't want to shoot, and Barren knew they weren't going to because they just didn't take the shots.
Well, that's the rationale, the reasoning behind the box and one. You're going to make, or box and stage, you're going to make somebody else. They're going to get open, the other players, but you're also willing to take that chance that they're not going to make them, and that's what happened.
I think the other thing that happened too is that the one of the younger Granger kid was hurting them in the first half, getting in the lane, and then he kind of got nullified by that box and one situation as well. That inside presence was taken away, and so they were just left with guys who non-shooters in shooting positions.
That's right.
But you mentioned the draw, so Glasgow They get a draw that is a winnable draw from them to get to the championship game, the way I look at it. Because they get to open with Monroe County. That's not a guaranteed win. They lost to Monroe down at Monroe.
But I like that part.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rematch with Monroe once they lost, and they had a shot to win. Jarrett Martin went wire to wire and made a good kick, and the Glasgow kid just missed the shot.
Yeah,
from
that's
about
right.
about 2-footer.
Yeah.
So – listen, Monroe's probably happy with the draw too.
Right.
But, you have to be fair on these things. Both teams are happy. Because I guarantee Monroe would rather play Glasgow than play Central.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
So now they would probably prefer Logan.
Yes.
Of all of your choices. But still, that's not a terrible draw for Monroe. But Glasgow, very, very good draw.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed away from they stayed away from Warren Central, stayed away from Clinton.
Yeah.
In fact, they're in a lower bracket, and they can get to the finals without having to play without having to play Clinton or Warren Central.
Yeah.
You can't ask for anything more.
Yeah.
You still got to win.
Yeah.
And everybody in that lower bracket is thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
so, they're not alone just sitting over there thinking, what a great draw.
Yeah, Logan County, South Warren, Glasgow, and Monroe are all like, hey, this is our chance to get to the championship game.
That's correct.
But meanwhile, Barren drew Clinton County in the first round.
Tough draw.
It is a tough draw, but I will say this. Even though they lost to Clinton by 10 at their place, a couple of weeks before the end of the season, I don't think it's a bad matchup for the Trojans. I think it's a winnable matchup for them.
That's winnable. Bad matchup, it's not as bad as Central because Central has the quickness and some size, but quickness that has bothered Barren at times with turnovers. Clinton's a whole different animal.
Right.
They're the most physical team in the region. I don't know anybody that just matches up with Clinton because of that big kid on the inside, Jackson. I forgot.
Jackson Mason?
Yeah, Mason. That doesn't sound right. His last name's Mason. Anyway, 6'5" kid on the inside. And, of course, they got arguably 3 of the top 10, 15 players in the region when you add Button to it.
Right.
So, but Barren played them well at home against Clinton, and Clinton just kind of took over in the last quarter.
Right.
So it's a matchup that Barren is not going to get overwhelmed in terms of quickness and things like that. That's just not going to happen. So they're going to be in the game. Mm-hmm. Is the question is, can Barren match Clinton's physicalness, and can they take away that real good player on the inside that I forgot his name?
Yeah.
Mason. I shouldn't because arguably he's the best player in the region.
Yeah.
And I may not be arguably he's
there. Him and Armani Bird are top, to me the two best players I've seen in the region.
So so it's not. The draw is not good because if you win, now you're staring at Central.
Right.
But it is what it is. And what you do is you take one game at a time. Your job, you just think of, can we beat Clinton?
Yeah.
If you play them 10 times, Clinton's going to win that matchup.
Right.
Probably 7 out of 10. Not 10 out of 10, not 9 out of 10. Barron's got a shot.
Yeah.
So, your goal is what can I do to take away – they just played 2 weeks ago, so there's fresh film and all that stuff. What can I do to overcome that, what happened? And then if you win, then you got a week basically to get ready for Central.
Yeah.
So, it's not like you win and then the next day you got Warren Central. So there are some things to play around with this right here.
Yeah. Tim McMurtry told me one time after Metcalfe County surprisingly made it to the championship game and they had to turn around and play Warren Central the next night, he said he wished he'd had a couple of more days to get ready for him. And I kind of laughed because I thought there ain't no way. But then he was serious. He thought he could come up with something to deal with Warren Central if he'd been given another day.
It's always the advantage of the better team to play the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, don't give them any time to figure out what your weaknesses might be, if you have them.
Preparation or whatever, yeah. So it's always that advantage. But, I do think Barron, they got to pick themselves up from losing to Glasgow. But you see that a lot. You see teams that do that.
Yeah.
They'll come right back. And, Barron has had tough losses this year. They've had tough wins, and so forth. And they've been fairly resilient. So we'll see how it goes, but they do definitely have a fighting chance.
Meanwhile, the Caverna Colonels beat LaRue County 48-40 in overtime in the 18th District Championship. They
almost the exact same slobber knocker as 2 weeks ago at LaRue County that ended
39-37.
39-37.
And the thing is that Caverna, if you let them, they will run the floor on you. But they're not going to do it and sacrifice offense to just run the floor. If you make them play a half-court game, they're going to play the half-court game. And LaRue, obviously, they were going to play a zone the whole game, and they played a zone until they absolutely didn't have to anymore, or couldn't, really, in overtime. I think they played a zone except for like the last minute of the fourth quarter. And then in the overtime, Caverna scored first, and so they were kind of in a pickle with them. But that is maybe the difference between this Caverna team. They're going to defend you, and if you want them to play a half-court offense, that's fine. The Twins, Gavin Lightning, Cortavian Maxey will probably figure out a way to score. And if not, Jalen Crane will probably just at some point in time split your zone and get an assist to somebody. So, I mean, they're pretty wild like that. And that was their first district championship since 2015. That was when Mason Faulkner was still there as a junior. That was the end of his junior year, I think. So, it had been a while. Orlando Hayden was the coach of that team, ironically enough. And I mean, they were pumped about getting that championship because they've been real close the last 3 years since these guys have been in high school. They just have not been able to get over the hump, and so it was good for them, John.
It was good. I mean, listen, they're a top 20 team in the state, but they've got to, they're no lock to win the region.
No.
I mean, they've got to go through some good teams. I think they got a pretty good draw.
They got a draw. They got the best draw I think they could get.
They got the best draw. They drew away from North Hardin.
Yep.
And I think North Hardin is their biggest threat.
Yep.
Adair is not playing very well at all.
No.
And in fact, Caverna destroyed them the last week, and Adair got beat 18 by Taylor in the district final. So they're really, really struggling. So, I think the teams to beat are probably going to be Caverna and North. LaRue's still a threat.
Yeah, and that's who North Hardin drew is LaRue in the first round.
And you got Taylor.
Yep.
Taylor's still out there and so forth. But I would probably be surprised if it's not Caverna and North in the finals.
Yeah. It's Caverna is – I think people might have the idea of how they think Caverna might play, and they will shoot threes against the zone too. They do shoot a fair amount of threes, but, I mean, the thing is they're willing to put up shots when you've got Tyson Martin and Kenyon Martin hanging around in the paint waiting to rebound your misses.
I don't think there's any doubt they are so much better defensively.
Oh, yeah.
And that will always keep them in any game.
Yep.
They are really good defensively, and they rebound so well. I get a little worried sometimes with their low scoring because sometimes that keeps other teams in it too.
Yeah.
But I don't I think when you start playing these really, really good teams, the games are going to probably be a little bit more up and down, I think. I don't know. LaRue, the two odd games how LaRue has really slowed those games down, to be honest with you. But I think they got I think it's probably 50-50 between them and North. I can't really predict which one, but man, I think Caverna is well coached. I love their rebounders inside the Martins, and they got an outstanding point guard, and that's generally a recipe to do well. They're a type of team where their game will, if they can win it, would do well in Lexington. They can play with anybody. They've proven that at the end of the year against St. X.
Yeah,
they got to get there though.
Yeah. I do think the biggest thing is trying to get out of this region, just because, you're going to play teams that know you pretty well, have known you for a number of years. And it's like the 16th district over there. Sometimes it doesn't work out the way you think it will because they know each other so well. And maybe that's the case in this regional tournament as well. Although Caverna and North Hardin did not play this year, so that'll be an interesting thing.
And it's played at Greene County, home of the best hospitality room in the state.
I concur.
There you go.
I think your aunt takes care of that, right?
She does.
Yeah, it is. Hey, look, if you get a chance, you got to cover some games, you want to go cover the 5th region.
And that's not for everybody.
No.
We don't just feed the general public.
No. I'm saying I said cover.
That's right.
You got to cover the games.
That's right.
You got a job to do.
You just can't put a camera on and go in there.
Yeah. No. But that and these places offer these hospitality rooms, and you got to be there to work anyway, and they invite you in there, get in there. They have the best food and the best baked goods, and like I said, John's aunt takes care of all that.
Yeah.
I found that out one year when I was over there, I think for a district tournament, and she was actually, it may have just been some mid-season thing going on, and
Class A tournament maybe.
I think it was the Class A, and so I went in. Somebody said, "Yeah, you can go in there and get something." And I said, "All right." And I go in there, and then she's like, "Yeah, I'm John Butler's aunt." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty cool." But yeah, it'll be a heck of a tournament, I think, and it'll be an interesting tournament. That 5th region tournament will be an interesting tournament because there's always seems to be one team in that tournament that wins a game that you don't expect.
Yeah, and it's generally different teams too. It's not like it's down here. It's been Bowling Green and Warren Central. It's just the way it's been. In that region, not quite as predictable.
No, no, it's not. All right, is that everything for the boys basketball there, John?
Yeah, the boys region starts in Diddle on Tuesday.
That's right.
Got quarterfinals today with the girls tonight.
Yep.
I'll be doing those 2 games with Jay tonight. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, boys. Then we'll come back to semifinals, girls on Friday.
Yep. Yeah, the Barren boys play at 8 o'clock on Tuesday, and the Glasgow boys play at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. And I'll talk more about that. You got to get out of here because you're going down there to do those games with them. But I'll tell people more about what our coverage is down there. And this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Welcome home to Local Sports with James Brown and the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU.
Welcome back to the Brown Sports Bag. James Brown here. As I mentioned before we went out on the break, John Butler had to hit the road. He is joining Jay Turner tonight to do the next 2 games in the girls' 4th region tournament. That's what they'll be doing, and that's on 104.7. We're going to have every game from the regional tournament on there. Jay Turner will be broadcasting them, and that's the girls' region and the boys' region. And then when Barren and Glasgow play, we're going to do like we usually do. It'll be 104.7 Burgundy with Jay Turner doing the Barren, and then 103.1 WCLU Blue with Chase Landrum doing the Glasgow. So that'll be how that is handled on Tuesday and Wednesday. But every other game will be on 104.7. It's kind of a flashback to the days when we used to have like a sports-dedicated radio station, and so we'd carry a lot of things on there, like the regional tournaments and district tournaments and that kind of thing. And so we're doing that again this year on that front, and then we're doing a few other things this year down at the regional tournament. In case you guys may have missed it, we have some highlight reels from each game. And you can find those on WCLUradio.com. You can find them initially you can find them at the WCLU Sports Facebook page. Will Perkins is doing all of that kind of stuff. He's our video guy. And so as far as in-house doing those kinds of things. And but then you can also find them on WCLUradio.com. And underneath the sports tab, it has a 2026 4th region coverage. And you click on that, and you'll see our highlight videos. I think you'll get the recaps of the games that we cover, galleries. We'll have some post-game interviews that we do. We have the Barren County girls one up right now, but we'll have more of those up as we go along. So you want to check that page. We have the brackets for the tournaments on there. So yeah, you want to check that page going forward. Like I said, that's WCLUradio.com, and then under the sports tab is the 2026 4th Region coverage. And so, it's toward the end of basketball season, but it's a busy time. And the funny thing is about the time we get done with basketball, of course, spring sports will start, and I think the first games are March 16th, so 2 weeks from today. And we'll be having some broadcasts of Barren County and Glasgow baseball and softball during the spring sports. And we'll have our usual online coverage, that kind of thing, where we'll have some photos and game recaps, interviews with people, that kind of thing. So just because the basketball season is winding down doesn't mean it's actually sports is not ending. The spring sports also includes things like tennis and track and field, and around here we've had some really good run on track and field athletes lately, and I think we will again this spring, both at Barren County and Glasgow. I want to mention this real quick. Caverna brought back its tennis program last year, and then they've gotten the tennis courts refurbished and repaved and painted. They look nice, and I saw today their schedule for this coming season. So they're going to play quite a few home matches over there. I don't know. Maybe the last time they played home matches over there was about 12 or 14 years ago, I think it was. And so that's good to see that coming back. And hopefully they'll get a fair amount of participation. And of course, I think both Barren has a tennis scrimmage on Thursday. And Glasgow and Caverna may also have tennis scrimmages on Thursday. I saw those schedules earlier, so that's I vaguely recall seeing this. But yeah, so even though we're getting toward the end of the basketball season, and I say toward the end, John and I, as we were just discussing, we've got a couple of teams, the Barren County Trojanettes and the Caverna Colonels, who are the favorites, or at least one of the favorites to win their regional tournaments, which means, we could have a couple of teams make it to the state tournament. Ironically, the last time that Caverna boys made it to the state tournament was 2004, and Barren County's girls also made it to the state tournament that year. So 22 years ago, John was the coach of the Barren County girls at that time, and Paul Childress, who was at LaRue County, was the coach of the Caverna boys. Of course, for one of the two seniors on that team for John that year was Piper Lindsay, who's now the girls coach at Barren County. So, life can be interesting. So hopefully we have a repeat of 2004. They both can make it to the state tournament, and, we'll see how things go there. But yeah, it's been a pretty good basketball season so far. Two of our teams, their seasons are over with, the Glasgow Lady Scotties and the Caverna Lady Colonels. But, everybody else is still playing, and so as long as they're still playing, we're here covering them. And we'll continue to broadcast these games and do our interviews. I hope everyone saw the coverage that we had from the, district championships on Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night when Caverna played. We had interviews with players. We had galleries from the games. We had recaps. You can find all that on WCLUradio.com. And I've got to say, I enjoy talking to the players a lot, especially, when it's playoff time and that kind of thing, because they're just, people always decry, the kids these days, but, you in those moments, you get to see how much they do love playing the sports and the things that they do and what they can tell you about, playing the games and what they learn from their coaches and what they're trying to accomplish. And so it's pretty neat. And I enjoy doing that. I appreciate everybody who ever stops me and says thank you for doing it. I don't do it for that, but I do appreciate that, because sometimes I'm not sure if I'm just talking into the air like right now. But anyway, this has been the Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be back next Monday at 4 o'clock here on WCLU Radio. For John Butler, this is James Brown. Catch you later.
You've been listening to the Brown Sports Bag on WCLU. Be sure to join James and John again next Monday at 4 for another edition of the Brown Sports Bag.